This is Ruben Lawing here in McAllen, Texas, and this is my leadership talk for today. And I've had something I've been, wrestling with in my mind for decades. When I used to train for Roy Jones Sr., he would always say, if you're one way in one thing, you'll be that way in anything else. You put the same, if you're one way in one thing, you'll be that way in anything else. If you're a winner, you're going to be a winner. If you're a quitter and a loser, you're going to be a quitter and a loser. Anything you put the same effort and the energy toward, you'll have the equal success, okay? But then Roy Jones Jr. would say, yeah, but there's some guys that they can do that one thing and they can do it better than anything else. That's all they can do is that one thing. And that was incongruent. And I wrestled with that for a long time. And then I got into the financial services business. And I was a mortgage real estate broker. And I got into that business as a debt management consultant. Because every time I showed somebody how to get out of debt, they started looking at buying a house. So I got my real estate license. And then I got into financial services, and I'm like, oh, this is the natural progression, okay? So now it's, I could get people to that point where they could qualify to get that house, right? But I knew they weren't going to make it to the promised land with their retirement. And then I saw an overview for WFG, and I'm like, this is it, okay? But then I'm talking to, my database was full of real estate, investors, real estate agents, and other mortgage professionals, and then others was accountants or bookkeepers, right? And they just weren't getting it, and it was puzzling me because it's the same information. We gather the same information, we just do different things. As a mortgage professional, you're making sure this guy qualifies for the mortgage, the financing they want, either to buy a house or to get out of the mortgage that they're in. Maybe rates have gone down, okay? Then the other, the accountants, they're looking at what they can put together to get this guy a lower tax liability, right? That same information now can be used to, let's map out a plan, start from where we're here, what we know now, and see where, what we have to do to get this person where they want to be so they can retire and, and have the lifestyle that they want when they retire. And they just couldn't get it. And it reminded me of trying to teach a drunk woman how to do the contemporary double two-step. They just can't transition between the steps, side to the other side, side to the other side, walk, walk, right? And so I'm continuously thinking about and learning about NLP and personality profiles and love languages, all these things, trying to become a better communicator so I can better get the point across of what we're trying to do and how to do it. And my pastor last week, Pastor Clark Ortiz, was talking about God's plan. And he quoted Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson says, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face. And it made me think about all the times I've been, hit really hard. That one time, Anthony Suggs Sr., he won the Olympic festival by knocking out Kennedy McKinney, and he won the first berth in the Olympic trials in 1988. And we fought like right after that. And everybody told me how hard he hit. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I was part of Vince Phillips and Roy Jones, I knew people hit hard. And he dropped me the first punch he hit me with. And I got back up, and I was okay. And I'd been knocked down before. And I'm like, okay, he's gonna come at me hard. Katie barred the door. And he was a little, fluffy around the belly. And I had a good left hook to the body. And I snatched him hard to the body, and then it was straight punches down the middle. And I just kept hitting him against the ropes the whole time in that fight, just drilling him. I just went at him with everything I had. I knew that's what I had to do. And so what you see, and what I've seen especially during this time with coronavirus, people, it's a stress on them, and it causes them to revert back to their norm. They can be trying to be something that they're not. They can try to be, move to that next level, and we all do it. We've all done it. Trying to become something better than we are. Okay? But once that stress hits, we revert back to our norm, and we'll do that until that process is innate. You've done it enough times where it becomes part of your subconscious programming, or you've done it enough times where you have that success, and then you get the what they call the it's the Psych K. Okay, so that's you get that positive response, man. Your third time out, and okay, now you do that pattern you do it the same way every time because you had success, and it stuck because you had the success. Or you just keep doing the repetition, and you keep, when you look at how, well, I'll go back to Roy Jones Jr. when his first round every fight, he misses like 90% of the punches he throws until he lands that first lick, and then he doesn't miss anymore. And what happens? His eye, his mind, his hand, and his feet all sync up, right? And I would see that in the military. I was in the Navy SEAL, and I was a radioman, and we used to call for close air support with AC-130 gunships, and they would have to go out and do a initial shoot to sync their weapons, their guns, with the computers, and then that way they'd be good. They'd be accurate the rest of the night. Well, our minds work the same way, okay? And when people are doing things that are unfamiliar to them, it can put them in beta mode, and then when you go to beta mode, you get stuck. You get stuck in your subconscious programming. You can take in new information, but your brain won't process it until that stress is lifted. So what has to happen in that situation where there's that stress, just because it's different, okay, and you have to expose them to it enough where it's no longer different. It's like becomes normal, okay, and that's why we have the meeting mentality. That's why we have all the trainings all the time, and you may hear things over and over and over again, and it's redundant, okay? But you hear it enough times where you know it, okay? It becomes part of you, and you can articulate it. And there's some people do it quicker than others. I have one associate, if he hears it one time, he can repeat it, all right? And other things like taking a test, right? Some people aren't good at taking a test. I wasn't good at taking a test. But I tell you what, I wasn't going to let that stop me. I went to a hypnotist to pass my real estate license exam. Passed it the first time. I took my broker's license exam like 3 years later, had to take it 3 times, and didn't go back to the hypnotist till the 3rd time, and I passed it. My life and health license, had to take it 3 times. My series, the first time I got it, had to take my series 6 and 63 3 times a piece, right? Took my 65 license. I didn't find the hypnotist again until the 3rd time I took it. Then I passed it. Okay. But I was determined. Okay, so that's where that factor comes in. Okay. If there's a parking lot or a gymnasium full of people, milling around doing nothing, and somebody comes along with enough enthusiasm and says, "Come on, let's go!" the majority will follow. to a point, right? Till they determine that this is where they really want to go. If it is, they keep going. If it's not, they don't go anywhere. And if they don't have an end destination in mind at the beginning, the odds are they're going to stop. That's why it's important to stoke that dream, whatever it is, whether it's to be a certain level or whether it's to have something, a house, their own house, or their dream house, or whatever, or a certain lifestyle, okay? Then there's those other people that they don't move off their square. They have a goal, okay? And you've got to show them how going with you will get them to their goal faster. Then they'll lead from the front. I got a few people like that. And so there's that. We all have this amazing potential, but we have like a little check in ourselves, okay, to stop and think it through first, right? And when you don't have enough information and you can't think it through, and then you're in beta mode too, then you can't take in new information, right? People will get frozen. But if you don't panic, then that's a reference. That's a positive reference. If you're like, hey, yeah, a lot of people, they're unsure because it's something they never heard before. And I understand, that's why we have this training, okay? And you expose yourself to training, you start to see, you start to understand it better, and then your brain says it's okay. We get it. So there's so much importance to the meeting mentality, and now with the Zoom revolution that we have, it's so much more important. So with that said, the understanding it, just understanding how it works, gets you even further down the road. And I have to look at it like SEAL training. That when I went out there, I got to go through training twice, so I got to observe some things, some common things. 120 guys started each class. Class 133, only 24 made it through Hell Week, and class 141, 28 people made it through Hell Week out of 120. In class 141, before breakfast Monday morning, 44 guys dropped out of the class. Right? I could have stood on my head that long. We would get surf tortured, and I get in the water and going, oh, this isn't so bad. And the guy next to me is like, Dog, Mom, let me ring the bell. I'm like, what was the difference? What was the difference? The instructors yelling at him had nothing on my stepdad. Nothing. I mean, I thought my name was God damn it till I was 16 years old. Right? So, and they were never going to do to me what he did to me. I don't care how big and bad they were. I knew if I got them in the ring, I was going to whip them. And if they could do this, I could do this. And that was my logic. And then in this business, the SEAL training doesn't make Navy SEALs. It just weeds out the ones that are not. And when it comes to this business, all right, that's really what we're doing. Now we have the tools with the meetings and the trainings to make people the kind of person that they need to be, right? But they got to be willing. They got to have a desire to be different have things to be different than what they are. And that's up to them. And it's just exposure. There's somebody right now sitting at home going, how am I ever going to retire? How am I ever going to stop working? And if you don't call them, they'll never be able to do it. All right. That's my leadership talk for today. Have a great one.